It is time for Mr. Fat Electrician talking about secret cheese bunkers, which makes no goddamn sense to me. Donut, when I first heard mention of it, I thought it was an actual bunker made of cheese for some reason. Don't ask me why. I thought they were talking about actual bunkers made of cheese. I am not proud of this line of thought. Be aware of this. I am not proud of this line of thought. Video has not. It's because the video hasn't even been started yet. I was queuing it up. It hasn't even started yet. All right. So let's find out about America's cheese bunkers, shall we?
This has almost nothing to do with the US military, but it's so ridiculous I can't not talk about it. Today we're talking about America's strategic cheese reserve. Yeah, if you didn't know, the United States currently has over 500 underground cave warehouses spanning across 35 different states, the largest of which is underneath Springfield, Missouri, where America, as of August 2022, currently hoards 1.5 billion pounds of cheese. And just for
That's a lot of constipation.
For the record, I realize I'm uploading this video very close to April Fool's Day. This is not an April Fool's joke. I am 100% serious. El Dorado is real, and Uncle Sam made it out of cheese.
Look, El Dorado, the city of gold.
And I know what you're thinking. Right now, you're like, wow, that's a cool little factoid. I can't wait to share that with my buddy at the bar one day. But no, this is going to infect your thoughts for the rest of your life. You're never going to see the world through the same lens ever again. I mean, for example, let's just say you're at home.
Oh, Elzar. Chicago-style deep dish. You speak of the food of my homeland.
Watching The Walking Dead, you're going to come to the realization there'd be way more fucking cheese in the apocalypse than that, okay? You're never going to be able to watch Mad Max again without thinking about cheese. You have to come to the terrifying realization that you live in a world where there is a greater than 0% chance that one of these underground cheese caves gets mistaken for a government facility and gets nuked in World War III, and we're gonna have to deal with a radioactive tsunami wave of nacho cheese. And this is real life. So I asked myself,
Wait, that would be terrifying. That would be terrifying to have a tsunami wave of cheese just wash over the United States. Holy crap. And yeah, I'm now getting hungry for pizza, but there isn't a decent pizza place near me, and now I'm sad. I need to go buy some frozen pizzas tomorrow. Yep, definitely gotta buy some frozen pizzas tomorrow.
one question: how on earth did America get to this point? Because I know it didn't happen overnight, and what I found was the craziest real-world example of a butterfly effect that I have ever seen. And believe it or not, it all actually ties back in with last week's video of the ice cream ships of World War II. If you missed that, the super abbreviated version, basically the US government banned alcohol during Prohibition in the 1920s. Because of that, all the bars in America turned themselves into ice cream parlors to stay in business. Ice cream stepped up to fill the social void left by alcohol. If so facto, there was like 2 generations of Americans that treated ice cream like it was alcohol, socially speaking. As I'm sure you can imagine, this would drive.
Interesting. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that based on the whole ice cream story that he was talking about, that maybe that's what gave rise to all like the plethora of malt shops in like the in the 1940s and 1950s. Yeah, I mean, ice cream soda. If only, Doc. Honestly, people might be more friendly if we started bringing back like ice cream socials. Yeah. Yeah, not a terrible idea.
drive up dairy consumption. Combine that with the fact that the 30s and 40s is when refrigeration would become readily accessible, meant that for the first time in human history there was such a demand for dairy products that farmers could exclusively become dairy farmers, meaning that this would be the birth of the entire dairy industry. And honestly, it worked out great. Right up until it didn't in 1949. 1949, 4 years after World War II, the American military is downsized, there's not an entire horde of young men eating 10,000 calories a day, and America's not exporting anywhere near as much food to other countries for war relief, meant that there was a decrease in dairy consumption, or a dip in the dairy market. As this became a bigger and bigger problem, the government had to step in because they weren't about to let the entire dairy industry implode, because, I mean, let's face it, that would be utter catastrophe. So the USDA stepped in and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna buy all the excess milk. Okay, pause. Thought experiment. You're a dairy farmer. You make all of your money by selling milk. And then suddenly, a couple years back, motherfuckers quit drinking milk, aka you made less money. Now the government has come out of left field and said, hey, we're gonna buy all of the milk. What do? You make more.
You shit yourself is what you do. If the government comes out and says, we're buying all the milk, holy shit. That is a holy shit kind of moment. Yeah.
Fucking milk. And that's exactly what happened. So just to be clear, there was already too much milk. Now there's definitely gonna be too much milk. So naturally, all the milk starts flowing in. The government has absolutely no.
Well, yeah, like I said, this is when government buyouts actually made sense and were done for a good purpose as opposed to buying out corrupt banks. So, yeah, back when the government actually did things for its people.
Idea what to do with it, so they turn it into cheese, that way it doesn't expire. That part makes sense, but now what do you do with all the cheese? They have no clue, so they just throw it underneath a mountain, ignore it, and hope the problem goes away. But it doesn't go away because every single presidential administration through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, they all continue to buy up excess milk to prop up the dairy industry, turn it into cheese, and stash it away in these caves. It literally turns into a giant political game of kick the can down the road because nobody wants to be the president that crashes the global economy by not buying enough milk while sitting on top of a mountain of cheese, which, understandable, I don't want to be that guy.
Wait a minute, did this crisis involving milk span multiple decades? Because I'd never heard about the milk crisis, the dairy crisis in the United States. This crisis spanned across multiple decades. Holy shit, I had no idea. That's crazy. Wow. I mean, yeah.
Either. Then, fast forward to 1980, Ronald Reagan, aka the small government guy, gets elected, finds out that the US government is sitting on top of 500 million pounds of cheese and spending $1 million a day to refrigerate and store it, and he looks at this whole issue like a beaver looks at running water. Absolutely fucking not. We can't have it. So his administration goes about figuring out the cheapest way to solve this cheese problem. Obviously, we're going to throw it all in the ocean. However, having at least the foresight to understand that that would cause political backlash, he wanted to see how the public
and environmental backlash. Can you imagine throwing 500 million, what do you say, pounds or tons of cheese into the ocean would royally fuck the aquatic life? Like, well, yeah, at the time they didn't, he was telling, yeah, 500 million tons. You would kill a huge chunk of the ocean. But yeah, they research into aquatic life, into the aquatic biomes probably was next to zero at that point. So the cholesterol in the water.
Someone from his administration shows up to a White House press conference with a 5-pound block of moldy cheese and is like, hey, we got 500 million pounds of this shit. How would you guys feel if we threw it in the ocean? It'll be fun. We'll save money on cheese. We're going to find out if blue whales are lactose intolerant. It's going to be a great science experiment. The public did not go for it. They kind of felt like, hey, I've paid taxes for the last 40 years. You've turned those taxes into cheese. I would at least...
I was guess it would make the fish dead. It's not like they could... It would make them fucking dead. It would skyrocket their cholesterol. I would imagine that the cheese would absorb a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? Not saline. Maybe it's like the saline content of the ocean. Uh, and I don't know, but here's the thing: cheese. You're talking about fish with high cholesterol. Not exactly sure how tasty that would be. Uh, yeah, the salt content cover. I was trying to think of the scientific word. I think it's the saline content. Well, Lurker, that's the question because we're talking about 500 million tons of cheese. Salinity. Yes, thank you, Snowman. Salinity. I don't know. 500 million tons of cheese. I think that would be more than just a drop in the ocean. Think about how oil spills have very devastating and very widespread effects. And we're talking about with an oil spill is usually from a surface area standpoint is less than what we're talking about here. And Bree, thank you for the follow. So and also don't forget the cheese would slowly be eaten or dissolved. Uh it's not just a question of being edible. It's also how it will affect the biome of aquatic life. So yeah, oil and cheese are two different things, but it's still going to be a detrimental effect. It's going to upend the aquatic ecosystems. So yeah, it's a good thing they did do it.
Like the cheese. So then the Reagan administration took the 55-gallon drums of cheese, cut it up into 5-pound blocks, packaged it, and spent the remainder of his administration funneling 300 million pounds of cheese into impoverished and elderly homes. And this is where we get the saying government cheese from.
You know what? And I was gonna ask that back when they were talking about strictly milk. I was thinking like, okay, you've got this excess milk. Why doesn't the government just buy it and disseminate it to poor families and poor homes so they have free milk? That would take a lot of load off of these families financially if they're just getting weekly donations of like, you know, a gallon or so of milk every week. And exactly, they did it. But I meant back when it was the dairy crisis before they turned it all into cheese. Back when it was still in milk form before it went to cheese form. Excuse me. I mean, it's good that they're doing it, but it would have been better if they did it with back when it was still in milk form.
You're gonna end up eating a steady diet of government cheese and living in a van
down by the river.
The U.S. government would then continue to give out government cheese until the
07, Chris
1990s when
Farley.
they seemingly ran out because as of today, all 1.5 billion pounds of underground secret cheese in America is privately owned by corporations like Kraft and Velveeta. And this is the part where I wanted to end the video on a happy note of the government made a mistake, they fixed a mistake over 50 years, happy ending, hooray. However, it didn't really make sense because something
But wait, there's more.
happened in the 1990s where the government was able to stop buying the excess milk. What happened? And that's when it hit me. It was absolutely the Got Milk ad campaign, the biggest, most iconic ad campaign of all time. I mean, every cafeteria in every school in America had a bunch of posters of famous athletes with milk mustaches saying, "Got milk, drink your milk." I vividly remember commercials as a child telling me that if I didn't drink enough milk, my arms would literally fall off my body.
Well, Mr. Miller told me he never drinks milk. Look at him.
Oh, that's not good.
Got milk.
Surely
Honestly, they were doing milk. They were doing milk campaigns before these. Yeah, 90s commercials were very fucked up. The one Got Milk that I remember seeing, like I've watched I used to watch Nostalgia Critic a lot, and yeah, I love watching his like commercial specials. And I think on one of those it was I vaguely, maybe it was there or maybe I just watched it. It was the one where the guy is eating a shit ton of cookies, and there's a radio question that this guy knows the answer to. They call him, and he can't talk because his mouth is full of cookie. And he's like, hang on, let me get some milk. And his milk carton is empty. And he's like, oh my God. And he can't talk. The guy can't understand him because his mouth is full of cookie. So I remember that one. But do you guys remember? There was I'm trying to remember where I saw these on YouTube a while back, and God only knows why I got turned on to seeing this.
I'm back. Power outages suck.
Hi, Shino. Thank you for the biddies, and I'm sorry you had a power outage. I'm glad you're able to get back. Do you guys remember, like, for those of you who may have been alive during this time, or aware, I should say, that there were milk ads of, it was like kids viewing themselves in like a full cheval mirror, talking about how they aren't doing great or something, and then the image in their mirror starts talking back to them, and it slowly like transitions into an older and older and older version of them talking about drinking milk, and eventually like the adult version of them looks fantastic. Either they're a big sports person, or if it's a girl, she's gorgeous and has this hot boyfriend. I'll show you a couple after this, and you guys might remember them. I saw a couple. I saw some of those, and so this campaign started before Got Milk, because these commercials, I think, were everywhere. And I'm reasonably sure it's late 80s, maybe early 90s. And so I'm pretty sure the milk campaign started before Got Milk. And my Canadian best friend, thank you for the follow. Welcome.
This is what inspired an entire
Yeah,
generation
no, it
of
does the body
Americans to
good,
eat
yeah.
and drink more dairy products, right? I mean, yeah, probably, but looking back on it now as an adult, doesn't it seem just a little bit weird that it wasn't a particular company putting on all these ads? Like, if there wasn't one company profiting from selling all this milk, where was all the money coming from? I mean, it almost seems like the government launched a giant psychological operation, ad campaign, just so that they could offload milk so they wouldn't have to keep contributing to their mountain of cheese. Well, I'm going to take this off now because that's legit exactly what happened. In 1995, the U.S. government created a nonprofit organization known as Dairy Management Incorporated, and their entire job was to get the American people to eat and drink more dairy products. Literally a cabal of individuals plotting behind the scenes to get people to eat more cheese. It's the cheesiest conspiracy of all time, and I'm not even kidding. Anything that has ever been sold or marketed that involved way too much cheese on it, this company is behind. Okay, they're the reason that Taco Bell started selling steak quesadillas. They were behind the Got Milk ad campaign. In 2002, when
Really?
Pizza Hut had the Summer of Cheese event where they put way too much cheese on all their pizzas, this is who was behind it. In 2010, when Domino's almost went out of business, they gave Domino's $12 million to stay in business, and then gave them a bunch of cheese so that they could put extra cheese on all of their pizzas, and that was their entire proposition for staying in business. Hey, our pizzas have more cheese on them now, so
Holy
they're
shit.
good. It is absolutely insane. So I did it.
Yeah.
I found the world's cheesiest conspiracy, but then I found leaked internal documents from DMI. And they are the funniest fucking thing I have ever read in my entire life.
Oh, this is gonna be
I'm gonna
good.
go ahead and read one for you now. It's a letter from Pizza Hut to DMI regarding a meeting they recently had, July 6, 1999. Dear Greta, we wanted to express our thanks once again for a wonderful meeting last week. We appreciate your team taking the time to share some very valuable information and creativity during our brainstorming session. Everyone is very excited about the presentation you gave regarding DMI's available resources and cheese industry insights. We look forward to working together to develop many cheese ideas we've discussed. We believe this is going to be a valuable partnership for both Pizza Hut and DMI. Let's sell more pizza and more cheese! Exclamation point. Thank you again for coming to Dallas. We look forward to talking to you soon about our partnership opportunities. We will call you next week to discuss the next steps. Sincerely, Derek, Lord of the Cheese, and Liskrin, Lady of the Cheese. Even they know that this
Oh my God, Lord of the Cheese and Lady of the Cheese. And what title, oh, you're talking about Lord of the Cheese and Lady of the Cheese? Yeah. They are taking the piss. They have got to be taking the piss. Oh my god.
This is a fucking joke. Why is this such a joke? Well, because Dairy Management Incorporated, while it is a non-profit, they don't actually have to raise money for themselves like most non-profits do, because they're also a government checkoff program, which means every dairy farmer in America is legally required, whether they want to or not, to send this company money so that they can advertise on their behalf. And their annual budget is like $140 million a year, with their CEO and top level executives all making right around $1 million per year. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you there is a group of people in America getting paid $1 million to convince Americans that cheese is awesome. Okay, that's like trying to fucking explain to Stevie Wonder what nothing looks like and getting paid $1 million for it. He already fucking knows that, okay? It makes no goddamn sense. Cheese is so fucking good that it is the one thing on earth that if you are allergic to it, we're not going to say you have a cheese allergy. No, you're lactose intolerant. We're not going to say you're allergic because we all know you're going to eat that shit anyways because the consequences are worth it. Am I upset right now? A little bit. Is it because I'm jealous? Uh-huh. It's basically selling ass candles to dogs and getting paid $1 million for it. It is the most ridiculously easy job on the planet, and I'm so mad that it's not mine. Anyways, I guess if you made it this far in the Unhinged TED Talk, in conclusion, the US government banned alcohol in the 1920s. It set forth a ripple effect through time, and now some dude in 2023 has my dream job of making $1 million a year to convince people of some shit they already knew. And the US has 1.5 billion pounds of cheese hidden in an underground cave network. Fucking the more you know, I guess. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at fatelectrician.com. Quack bang. Out. I'm gonna go eat some fucking cheese.
Well, I must say that was very good, but he did get pretty cheesed off there in the end.